Most people are getting played by the logo. They'll spend $90 on a thin cotton t-shirt because the name on the chest feels familiar, then walk right past a brand selling better fabric, cleaner construction, and more wearable clothes for half the price. That is the quiet trick in fashion. The best deal is rarely the loudest item in the store. And cheap does not have to mean disposable. A bad $25 shirt is expensive if it twists after 3 washes, fades in 1 month, and ends up sitting in the back of your drawer. But a $40 shirt that holds its shape for 2 years can be the better deal by a mile. That is cost per wear. It just means you divide the price by how many times you actually use the item. So today, we are not looking at brands that are cheap because they cut every corner. We are looking at brands people ignore because they are plain, practical, badly marketed, or just not fashionable enough to brag about. That is where the gold mine is. Because when a brand is not charging you for celebrity campaigns, giant logos, or artificial scarcity, more of your money can go into the thing that actually matters. The garment, the cotton, the wool, the stitching, the fit, the way it survives laundry, the way it still looks normal 6 months after the trend cycle moves on. And the first brand is one of the clearest examples of that because it built almost its entire reputation around one question. Why are basic luxury materials priced like luxury trophies? The third brand is Land's End, and this is where a lot of people make a very expensive mistake. They see Land's End and immediately think catalog clothes, office casual dads, school uniforms, and practical jackets your parents would buy. And honestly, that image is not completely wrong, but that is also why the value is hiding there. Because while trendier brands are busy selling a mood, Land's End is usually selling the thing itself. Look at the categories where boring is a strength. Cotton sweaters, flannels, chinos, canvas totes, winter coats, fleece, turtlenecks, rugby shirts, and classic button-downs. These are not pieces that need to win Instagram. They need to survive laundry, cold weather, errands, travel, and normal life. That is where Land's End starts to make sense. The real trick is never paying full price unless you absolutely have to. Land's End runs sales constantly, and once you understand that, the value changes. A basic cotton sweater or a practical coat at full price might look ordinary, but catch it during a deep sale, and suddenly you are comparing it against fast fashion prices with much better long-term usefulness. The danger is that Land's End also sells plenty of pieces that can look dated if you choose badly, so the filter matters. Avoid loud seasonal prints, novelty colors, and overly boxy items unless that is exactly your style. Focus on navy, cream, gray, olive, denim, canvas, wool blends, cotton knits, and outerwear with a real job to do. It is not exciting in the store. It is exciting 2 years later when the zipper still works and the fabric has not given up. Now, the fourth brand is a different kind of gold mine. This one is for people who want to look sharper but do not want to pay luxury prices just to get decent tailoring. The second brand is Muji, and Muji gets ignored because it does not scream for attention. That is actually the advantage. Walk into a lot of budget fashion stores and the clothing is trying very hard to look current. Big shapes, loud colors, odd details, trend cuts, synthetic blends, and pieces that look good on a hanger for about 3 weeks. The problem is that trend-heavy clothing expires fast. You buy it because it feels new, then 1 season later it feels weirdly dated. Muji goes in the opposite direction. The brand is built around plain design, quiet colors, and simple everyday pieces. Cotton t-shirts, Oxford shirts, linen blends, cardigans, socks, relaxed trousers, and basic layers that do not depend on a logo or a viral silhouette. That matters because one of the cheapest things you can do with clothing is buy something that stays wearable. A plain cotton shirt in white, navy, gray, or olive does not need the internet's permission to keep working. It can sit under a jacket, go with denim, pair with chinos, or become part of a simple travel wardrobe. That flexibility is value. The thing to watch with Muji is fit and fabric weight. Some pieces are excellent for the price, while others can feel a little too light depending on the season. But if you check the fabric tag and avoid buying purely because something is minimal, Muji can quietly beat trendier brands that spend more effort looking cool than lasting well. And that leads perfectly into the third brand because this next one may be the most unfairly dismissed name on the list. People think it is boring, they are missing the point. The third brand is Land's End, and this is where a lot of people make a very expensive mistake. They see Land's End and immediately think catalog clothes, office casual dads, school uniforms, and practical jackets your parents would buy. And honestly, that image is not completely wrong, but that is also why the value is hiding there. Because while trendier brands are busy selling a mood, Land's End is usually selling the thing itself. Look at the categories where boring is a strength. Cotton sweaters, flannels, chinos, canvas totes, winter coats, fleece, turtlenecks, rugby shirts, and classic button-downs. These are not pieces that need to win Instagram. They need to survive laundry, cold weather, errands, travel, and normal life. That is where Land's End starts to make sense. The real trick is never paying full price unless you absolutely have to. Land's End runs sales constantly, and once you understand that, the value changes. A basic cotton sweater or a practical coat at full price might look ordinary, but catch it during a deep sale, and suddenly you are comparing it against fast fashion prices with much better long-term usefulness. The danger is that Land's End also sells plenty of pieces that can look dated if you choose badly, so the filter matters. Avoid loud seasonal prints, novelty colors, and overly boxy items unless that is exactly your style. Focus on navy, cream, gray, olive, denim, canvas, wool blends, cotton knits, and outerwear with a real job to do. It is not exciting in the store. It is exciting 2 years later when the zipper still works and the fabric has not given up. Now, the fourth brand is a different kind of gold mine. This one is for people who want to look sharper but do not want to pay luxury prices just to get decent tailoring. The fourth brand is Spier Mackay, and this is one of the clearest examples of why brand recognition can cost you money. A lot of men buy suits, dress shirts, trousers, and sport coats from whatever mall brand they recognize first. They are not comparing fabric, construction, lapel shape, rise, drape, or tailoring details. They are just thinking, I know this name, so it must be fine. That is exactly where Spier Mackay becomes dangerous for the bigger labels. The brand is not dirt cheap in the same way a bargain bin t-shirt is cheap. But in tailoring, value is relative. A suit that costs a few $100s and uses better fabric, cleaner proportions, and more classic details can be a better buy than an expensive suit with a fused, stiff, shiny look. The fifth brand is Pact, and this is the brand to look at when you are tired of basics that feel cheap after 2 washes. Pact is not really trying to win the fashion conversation. You are not going there for dramatic silhouettes, rare drops, or clothes that announce themselves from across the room. The value is much quieter. Organic cotton underwear, t-shirts, tanks, leggings, sweatshirts, socks, sleepwear, and simple everyday layers. That matters because basics are where people underestimate cost per wear the most. Think about a t-shirt or pair of underwear you wear every week. If the fabric stretches out, pills, shrinks strangely, or loses softness quickly, the low price was not actually a win. You just rented a garment for a short period of time. With basics, the question is not what looks exciting today. The sixth brand is not one single label. It is Target's private label clothing, and this is the one people love to underestimate. Most people do not walk into Target expecting a clothing goldmine. They are there for paper towels, toothpaste, snacks, and maybe one random candle they definitely did not plan to buy. So when they pass the clothing section, they mentally file it under cheap store clothes and keep moving. That is a mistake, but only if you shop carefully. Target's private labels, especially lines like Goodfellow & Co., Universal Thread, and A New Day, can be surprisingly strong for everyday basics. We are talking about denim, chinos, simple tees, casual jackets, sweaters, button-downs, and easy work or weekend pieces. The seventh brand is Community Clothing, and this one is easy to miss because it does not behave like a typical fashion brand. It is not built around constant newness. It is not trying to bury you in trends every week. The whole idea is much simpler. Make useful, straightforward clothing, keep the designs clean, and put more attention on manufacturing than hype. That is why it belongs on this list. Community clothing is especially interesting for basics like t-shirts, sweatshirts, knitwear, socks, denim, jackets, and simple everyday staples. The prices are not always the absolute lowest on the internet, so if you only judge by sticker price, you might miss the point. The value is in cost per wear, how often you can use the garment, how well it fits into a normal wardrobe, and whether it still feels respectable after real life gets to it. A lot of cheap fashion works by making the first impression strong and the 10th wear disappointing. Community clothing goes the other way. The designs are quiet enough to keep wearing, and the manufacturing story gives you more reason to believe the garment was made as a product, not just as content for a sale page. This is the kind of brand that makes the most sense when you are tired of replacing the same categories over and over. Socks that wear out too fast, sweatshirts that lose shape, t-shirts that twist, simple jackets that look good for one season and then collapse. With community clothing, the smart buys are the plainest ones: navy, gray, black, cream, denim, simple stripes, classic sweatshirts, basic knitwear, pieces that do not need a trend attached to them. And once you understand why a brand like this works, you can use the same filter anywhere. Because the real goal is not memorizing 7 names. It is learning how to spot the next gold mine before everyone else does. So here is the real lesson. The best clothing deals usually do not look exciting at first. They are not always sitting under bright campaign photos. They are not always attached to the brand everyone on TikTok is suddenly praising. And they are almost never the item with the biggest logo. Most of the time, the value is quieter than that. Check the fabric tag. Cotton, wool, linen, cashmere, silk, leather, and sturdy blends usually tell you more than the logo does. Look at the seams, look at the zipper, feel whether the fabric has any body to it or whether it already feels tired before you even buy it. Read reviews for patterns, not one dramatic complaint. If 10 people say the sweater shrank, believe them. Also, pay attention to what the brand talks about. If a brand spends more time explaining the material, construction, factory, fit, or care instructions, that is usually a better sign than a brand selling you vague lifestyle language. Not always, but often. Real garment details are harder to fake than mood. And remember, cheap is not the same as value. A $15 shirt you hate wearing is not a deal. A $50 sweater you wear every week for 3 winters might be one of the cheapest things in your closet. So the next time you shop, ask a better question. Not what brand will people recognize, but where is my money actually going? Because once you start thinking that way, you stop paying for noise and you start finding the brands everyone else keeps walking past. Which ignored clothing brand has held up surprisingly well in your closet?